Five Nights at Freddy's 2 comes out in just a few days, so I thought, what better time than now to look back on the original movie? No, not that one. I meant my movie. When I was just 13 years old, I made a viral FNAF fan film called 1983 that currently has over 10 million views. Now, I was a kid when I made this, so lo and behold, it is cringe. But I still get comments to this day from you guys saying you used to love it and you watched it as a kid, now you go back to it as an adult and you're nostalgic for it, which is great to hear, but I feel like an unk. So today we're gonna go back together and watch it for the first time in many, many years from me, as well as the first two fan films, because actually that was part 3. Before that came Five Nights at Freddy's the fan film, which got 2 million views and was based off the first 2 games. And then there was Fazbear's Fright, based off of the 3rd game, and then there was the big one, which was based off of the 4th game. So without further ado, I'm gonna leave timestamps here for you to skip to if you want to watch just the big popular one, 1983. That reaction is right at this timestamp. Before that, let's watch the first 2 movies and just react, share some funny stories, have a laugh at the cringe, and yeah, let's get into it. Oh Jesus. We have my old dubstep logo. The good days. I forget how I opened this first movie. I guess that's how, the mangle sound effect. Very pleasant on the ears, I gotta say. Alright, so here we have my best friend David. He was my neighbor at the time. He's playing Mike Schmidt from the first game. I think he was like 15 back at the time, so I'm reading a newspaper, which of course a 15-year-old would do. And then he sees the job listing. Yup. Alright, so here we have the office, which was just my room, a corner of my room at the time, and I just printed out a bunch of these, you know, Five Nights at Freddy's graphics, and just kind of drew a bunch of stuff and plastered it on my wall with tape. Taco Bell cup.
Hello?
Oh, the old phone.
I wanted to record a message.
Now, I had my good friend Chaz Ravenel, a voice actor, basically remake all of the phone guidelines from that first game, and I think he did a really good job, so shout out to Chaz. Now, these photos here that you see of, like, the, you know, Fazbear's Pizzeria restaurant, that's my local Ohio Chuck E. Cheese that you're seeing in this movie. Alright, so here's our first look at Bonnie. What I'd do here, as mentioned, this was Chuck E. Cheese. I just took pictures of my local Chuck E. Cheese, and then I had a YouTuber, a friend of mine, who did like SFM, Five Nights at Freddy's animations and stuff with the models from the game, and I just hit him up over like back when you could like YouTube message, when that was a thing. I had him add the models and the poses that I want over those photos, and I just, you know, edit the photos afterwards a little bit, so. And if you'll notice, the camera's constantly just in and out of focus, and that wasn't just because of autofocus. I would film this whole thing on just like a handy cam, like a really cheap handy cam, not even like a DSLR where you can actually pull focus. There was no option for like manual focus on this thing, and it was in such low lighting that it would just go crazy, so I'd just point and shoot. It's a miracle you could even see anything in that low lighting, but that's how I did it. Nice. That was just the same model of Bonnie, I think, from that last photo. I just like darkened his face. Yeah, and just shook the camera in post a little bit and added the sound effect. That's most of this film, honestly, just still images that I just like edited in a photo editor and just added the Five Nights at Freddy's like in-game sound effects too, and that was it. I was trying to figure out where I got like a clock that had green numbers like that, but I just realized that was from my stove. I actually just filmed my stovetop clock and just turned the lights off so you couldn't see around it, but that's a stove. There's a thumbnail. Now that wasn't in Chuck E. Cheese, that was just a little image of my room, which technically that is what David would be seeing from his point of view. That's the other wall of my room. But again, just a still image of Freddy like this. I just added text over it for the thumbnail, and boom, 2 million views. 5 years ago, 1987. So this is the part of the movie where I try and go back and adapt the second game. However, you'll notice here, I'll let it play.
Hello? Hi there.
I don't show much of the environment. I drew some more pictures and whatever.
I wanted to, kind of go into some more detail about your job. About what you have to do. So as you know,
And there's me.
working the night shift.
There's me at 12 years old. So what I did for the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 parts of the movie, or I tried to do at least, if you look at the game, right, in the first game, you're just in a little cute office. That's easy to replicate in real life, you know, just find a party room like I did and just like cover it in decorations, add like a computer, whatever. But going to Five Nights at Freddy's 2, you look at that environment, how could a 12-year-old possibly do that? That big ass hallway and the two vents, and there was no shot. I tried to like green screen it, but that didn't work. I was 12, so I just didn't even really show much of anything, really. It'd just be like shots of like, again, drawings here and there, and then just me holding the camera like this to film myself, like I am in this shot. Literally, just me. I put on a hat, took the camera, and just acted it out. That's basically all of those parts of the movie, so yeah.
You're only the second guy to work in that office.
Most of this movie is just either me or David listening to phone calls. I don't understand why it got so many views. I think it's genuinely just a thumbnail.
They what?
They tried to get to my room.
And there's my dad.
Okay, we'll switch you over to the day shift.
My dad playing Purple Guy. Yeah, back then they didn't call him William Afton, it was just Purple Guy, because chronologically I made these movies as each game came out. I think only the first two were out at this time, and then FNAF 3 came out, then I made that movie, then FNAF 4, then my movies, so on and so forth. So it was just Purple Guy back then, he was brand new, but I had my dad playing him in, he didn't own a purple jacket, he just had a red one, so that's close enough. So I just had him put on a red jacket, and yeah, he has quite a thick accent. So you can hear that there, but you know, he's a good actor, you know, I think he's better than me, so good job, Dad.
Now, until we can fix this, we have figured out a temporary solution.
Oh my god. Yeah, see, this is what I'm saying, it was so hard for me to even try to adapt that second game's office. What you just saw, those two events, that was in my old middle school's gym. I'd go to the gym after school with my camera and just like film the air vent. That was my middle school experience, just taking the camera to school and filming random stuff like that. People had no clue what I was doing. This is what I was up to the whole time. I was so imaginative back then, I feel like, because like, I looked at a random event in the middle of my gym as I was playing dodgeball, and I was just like, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 event! Like, how did I think of that? That was pretty lucky that my Chuck E. Cheese actually had a very similar looking curtain to Foxy's Pirate Cove curtain, just like that. That had the actual animatronic behind there. I'm pretty sure they got rid of those actually a few years later, but yeah, that was pretty lucky. I think most of this movie was just shot with me holding the camera a foot away from David and just saying, alright, now spin. Now take a sip of that Taco Bell cup. Now toss whatever, your hat. That was the whole filming process for this movie. It was just me telling him a series of actions to do with no context, and I just put it together in my editing software afterwards. This is my attempt at replicating, when the camera... Nice. That was my attempt at replicating like, in the game when like the pictures had to change to different motions and it would like glitch out and stuff. Nice acting from David. It's like 0 to 100. That's so funny.
No, not now.
That was the only animation in the whole movie, by the way. Him running like that, Foxy running like that. But then when you see David do the little door closing there, that's literally just him doing this to either side with the sound effect added in editing afterwards, because I didn't have a big door there. You know, I didn't have those big doors. I didn't have any buttons available for us to use, so it was just him motioning and I just add the sound effects. So the whole movie is just people listening to phones and making motions until you see a picture of an animatronic and a sound effect, then it's just a black screen. That's this whole movie in a nutshell.
But they were just so...
The vents again. That's literally all I had to show was just the two vents and more like pictures of Chuck E. Cheese. The rest is just me holding it up to my face like this. Oh nice, you see that little nose zit? Nice. I don't know what the point of me adding these segments in there even was. I could... We have Foxy's eye, vaguely. Yeah, I should have just stuck to the first game, honestly.
Never mind. Scratch that idea. So just keep on.
I actually wonder what made me want to like have someone else redub these phone calls, because the rest of the sounds are all just from the game, like literally one-to-one, just from a YouTube video that I found. I don't know why I decided to have Chaz do it, but I'm glad I did. I think I just kind of wanted to insert some more originality into it, so it wasn't all just from the game.
Almost aggressive towards the staff.
What is the point of this scene?
It's just fine, but when they encounter
It's just the phone for like 2 minutes straight.
stare.
Holy crap. That's so loud. You know, I'm pretty sure this is actually entirely my sound work here. This is my remake of like that, like whatever you call that. I think it's night 4, night 5 phone call, where it's like Golden Freddy or whatever. And I'm pretty sure I had Chaz actually say the lines that Phone Guy says when you like reverse it. So for 12-year-old me, this is not bad. It sounds pretty creepy. Yeah, good job, Gabe. He slammed that shit.
Jesus.
Whoa. So I do show him hitting the button, but what you see him hit is my filing cabinet. That's where you like stick the label in. That's crazy.
Jesus.
I'm gonna clip that and use that as like a reaction now from now on.
Jesus.
Jesus. Or filing cabinet. Nice. The filing cabinet's killing me.
Come on.
Also, I forgot to mention this, but if the animatronics happen to get into your room and your doors get jammed, try using the flashlight behind this phone.
Was that wasn't in the game? I'm pretty sure I just added that for like cinematic purposes. I figured like he has to have like some kind of way to like counteract the animatronics, or else it'd just be boring. I think I took that aspect of like the second game and did he die? Did I kill him in that scene?
Hey, good job, night 5. Hey, keep a close eye on things tonight, okay? From what I understand,
Just a black
the
screen.
building is on
Great.
lockdown.
Half of this film is just black screen.
What on earth are you doing there?
Oh boy, you see that brace face?
What on earth?
Yeah, 12-year-old employee Jeremy Fitzgerald. And do you hear that song in the background? That's fucking In the House in a Heartbeat from 28 Days Later.
For a while.
Why did I use that?
Someone used one of our suits. The yellow one.
Oh, it's my dad? Purple guy? Oh man, that's too funny. No way. I had my dad walk across Chuck E. Cheese while I filmed him for this movie. Oh my gosh, the stuff he had to put up with, that's crazy. No. Oh my god. Cinema. That was supposed to be like the purple guy killing the kids in like the 8-bit video game part of the second game. And what it was really was just me. My poor dad. I had my dad go into the Chuck E. Cheese bathroom and I filmed him while he just... And then I just cut to... I bought golden fabric to like mimic the suit he'd wore, and I just like dropped it on the floor. And then I think, what was that? Whatever this is, to like resemble the exoskeleton and like the suit that purple guy wore. But this is just my, that's ketchup obviously. This is my dad swinging at Chuck E. Cheese in the bathroom. That's crazy. My hand with like fake blood. Okay. Is that the end? No, 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 I remember there's one more scene. This is my friend Brandon from elementary school. I forgot all about this. This was a bunch of my friends from like elementary and middle school. I then just lay down and like pretend to be like the dead kids that purple guy killed, and the marionette or the puppets, you know, soundtrack is playing, and I'm like, yeah, there you go. And I'm walking around, going up to their like bodies with I don't even know what that is. That is like supposed to be like the puppet's hand. This is like meant to be the bite of 87. Cinema. Great, yeah, that's my adaptation of the bite of 87. It's just that shot. Me holding the camera, turning around, zooming in editing after the fact, and roll credits. But there we have it, Five Nights at Freddy's, the movie. Yeah, I called it that, and that kind of caused a lot of complaints from commenters, me calling it Five Nights at Freddy's, the movie, because this was the start of a really annoying trend that I noticed, right? Here, I get it, right? Five Nights at Freddy's, the movie, implies that it's like, the movie, you know? And obviously, if you're like a fan of the games and you're like a little baby, you're like 8 years old, you think it's like the actual movie. It's like the Hollywood Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Then you watch it and it's just like mostly a black screen and my face and like a phone and my dad beating kids up at Chuck E. Cheese. I called it just the movie. It should have been the fan film instead, looking back at it. But this trend didn't really go away after the first film. It was also present very much in the second and third, even though I called them different things. I even started adding little screens at the start of the movie before it even starts saying this is just a fan film. People did not care. They were still in the comments saying, this isn't the movie, blah, blah, blah. It was just, it was so annoying for 12 and 13-year-old me. But anywho, so that first film comes out, and it gets over 1 million views pretty fast, and I'm just ecstatic. I'm over the moon, and so only 6 months after that, I dropped the sequel to that movie called Five Nights at Freddy's Fazbear's Fright, based off the third game. So right away you'll notice, compared to the first film and the third film, this middle one doesn't really have that many views. Compared to the 2 million and 10 million, this one only has 266,000. So what went wrong? Is the movie worse than the first movie? I don't think so. I think it's actually a lot better from recollection, at least. We'll find out in a second. But I think it's just the thumbnail, honestly. The thumbnail just was not as memorable or as eye-catching as the first and third. I'll discuss this in a second, but I have this homemade Springtrap suit that you can't really tell what it is upon first glance. And then it's, you know, you got like the white light shooting from my eyes and it's just kind of blinding everything else in the photo, and you have like the red text that I can't even make out from where I'm sitting right now. So I think genuinely the thumbnail was to blame for the second film not reaching the, you know, views that the first and third film had. But let's find out if it was the thumbnail, if it was actually just a worse movie. I don't believe it was from recollection, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it just wasn't as good as the first movie, the certified classic. One way to find out. Let's watch it full screen. That's a good disclaimer. I like that. If you haven't seen the first movie and played the game, this will not make much sense. I think I added that for like my friends and family that wanted to watch my stuff but had never played the games. You know, they'd watch it. It's like, what am I seeing? Now this logo here, Flicker Films Studios. So many of my friends said it looked like it said Fucker Film Studios. Look at that. Flicker Films. Fucker Films. Alright, my dad walking. Classic scene from the first movie. Oh, nice! I just took the shot from the first movie, and I just added my buddy Jordan, just getting the shit beat out of him. Not the child murderings. Donning his murdering attire. That's my hand there. Why would a knife be in there? Why would a knife be in the bathroom? A kitchen knife be in the bathroom sink? Why couldn't I just have him go to the kitchen? Why does it have to be next to the tweezers and the razor? I think I reshot that for this. Alright, see, I think I learned from the past movie where, like, if I can't show it, just take a clip from the game and just put it in there instead of just a black screen. In that shot right there was a homemade animatronic, like, endoskeleton looking head thing. You can see it's just like two spray painted silver flashlights, and then just these other, like, I don't even know what they are, like grid pieces. I don't even know. You can see it better there. And here's Jordan, the ghost of Jordan, haunting my dad. And this is our first look at the homemade Springtrap costume. I forget how I came across this guy, but there was a guy named Chris from Australia who made these like custom Five Nights at Freddy's cosplays, and I sent him a message and told him what I was working on, and he was like, cool. And I was still 12 at the time, so I couldn't really pay him for it much, but for $100 basically just covered the cost of getting it to America. So basically for free, the guy made me this awesome Springtrap mask, and it just made the whole movie. The production value, whatever value that was all in the mask here, and it's really cool. It was great. So shout out to Chris. Now the issue is though that the mask was great. If I pause here, you can see that most of the frame is just like darkness under the mask, even cutting into the mask, because I didn't have anything else. I tried to make some kind of like black shirt with duct tape over it, painted gold. You'll see it later on in the movie, but I don't know what happened here in this scene. I tried to just like cover it in shadows in editing and in post, and you get this, and it looks really stupid, and it's just like, I also added like lights tracking over the eyes and stuff, but it doesn't look great. There's some blood on the wall. Cool. The GOAT returns. We got David, Mike Schmidt, making his comeback. Oh nice, so this is, I asked in the first movie if I meant for him to die in that scene where like Chica attacks him. This is a flashback to that, so let's find out. I remember that. We wanted David to obviously be alive for this movie, making a sequel, so we decided to like explain that he made his way out of the, you know, pizzeria. So we went back to Chuck E. Cheese and we filmed a shot of David running through the hall and pushing past Freddy. So you see that here, he's running away. There's Freddy. You can't really see it in this shot. You'll see it when it's brighter, but ooh, I like that. Pulls a sheet over the camera. It's a cool little transition. But yeah, here, if I pause, you can see that. So basically the plot of this movie is 30 years after the first film. So our solution to making David look older as a 15-year-old was to just add a bunch of like really light makeup to like emulate a beard, and then that's what we get. It's not much, and also some like, you know, eye bags, kind of. You can see it better in different shots, and like some wrinkles up here, but it was just me doing it, applying it to him. So yeah, that's what we get. And at this point, I have to pause because what you're hearing in the background right now, the soundtrack, the little piano melody, is the piano rendition of an original song I had commissioned just for this movie. I don't know what compelled me to make a song original to this movie in particular, but I decided for some reason to hit up two popular YouTubers known for the Five Nights at Freddy's fan songs, one called Chaotic Canine Culture and one called Gatto Paint. And as you can see here, if I go up their popular videos, Chaotic Canine Culture has, you know, a bunch of these, 243, holy shit. I actually made the video for this, Five Nights at Freddy's 4 song, You Can't Escape Me. Video editors, there's me. Go check out a 10-year-old song called You Can't Escape Me. It's actually really good. But yeah, this guy, Jack, I had him do the vocals for the song, and then I had Gatto Paint do the instrumental. It's funny because 2 years after that movie came out, I actually ended up joining a band and being in that band for 6 years, and now I make music under my own project called Firebrand. Check it out if you want, if you like metal and rock. But music is a huge part of my life now, so it's funny looking back at this in a way because this is in a sense my first song that I worked on in a capacity. I didn't write anything but the lyrics, but yeah, this song was my first song in a sense. Chad, I'm sorry, this is not a banger. This is not a banger. The chorus is fun, and the lyrics for being like a fan song aren't terrible, but I really had no sense of melody. I would like coach Jack through how to sing it to my liking, so that's entirely on me. The melody is just not it. Well, anyways, that's out of the way. Let's continue with the short film. But yeah, so now what you're hearing is the piano version of that melody.
No, you can't.
I will say already, only 5 minutes in, I'd say this is personally infinitely better than the first movie, in the sense that there's actually a plot and you can see what's going on, like visually. There's like, you're not just seeing close-ups on my face or David's face. The, blur isn't so bad because I'm actually using a DSLR where you can actually focus the shot. So yeah, this is an improvement for sure. Alright, we're back. Same room as the first movie, just instead of facing this way, I used the other wall. And I used like the windows to kind of mimic the glass you're seeing in the third game. Then I just taped garbage bags to the outside of the window so you wouldn't see outdoors.
Hey man, glad you came back for another night. I promise it'll be a lot more interesting this time.
And this, the new phone guy for the first, I think, 2 nights, my buddy Andre did that. We had to pitch his voice down a bit because it was too high pitched for like the Scott Cawthon portrayal of the character. But yeah, shout out to Andre. I think he did a pretty good job recreating that little paper plate guy. I like that.
These cases provide much information on how to handle / climb into /
Yeah, there you can see what I mentioned before, where I, like, besides the mask, I'm just wearing literally a black long sleeve t-shirt that I just, like, cut up duct tape, put on all over it, and then spray painted gold.
Right now, we have 2 specially designed suits that double as both animatronics and suits.
I will say, I'm glad I'm giving David a lot more actual acting to do instead of just, like, walking around, or I guess swiveling around, drinking his drink, and just, like, falling asleep. I think he's doing a lot more already.
As accidents / injuries / death / irreparable and grotesque.
And did you see that? The lighting
/ injuries / death /
for these films is just a flashlight. I'm not kidding. I forgot all about that until I saw that very obvious flashlight. I would be holding the camera in one hand and a flashlight in the other, and you see very clearly here when I move the camera from David to the vent, I also move the flashlight up as well.
Accidents / injuries / death
Bam.
/ irreparable and grotesque.
That was so
can
DIY. It's
occur.
crazy.
These animatronics are set to turn and walk towards sounds they hear, which is an easy and hands-free approach to making sure the animatronics stay where the children are for maximum entertainment.
So for the phantom animatronics in this film from the third game, this was made pretty shortly after the third game came out, I'm pretty sure, so there wasn't any YouTube videos of the jump scares with the green screen behind the animatronics or anything where I could just like take it and plop it into the, editing software. So I had someone that I found over YouTube, like personal messages and stuff, go in and like take every frame of the jump scares and make them into like PNGs that they'd then assemble or I'd assemble and then like put into the editing software. So yeah, this was a lot of work for someone else as well as myself. A funny story, the person that did that for me was a YouTuber, like I mentioned, and she was a girl around my age. I was again like 12, she was like maybe 14 I think, and she saw me in my YouTube videos and thought I was cute. We had been obviously communicating through the whole process, talking about it and stuff. And after she sent it all over to me, she asked me out. Which was strange because, again, it was over YouTube personal message. I didn't know her at all besides just like the brief communications we had. Maybe we made some small talk here and there, and so I was like, sorry, no thank you. And she went crazy. She lost it. I had to block her because she was just spamming the hell out of me. And it was honestly scary at the time for 12-year-old me. It was a lot. She was quite dramatic. I don't want to get into too much more. You can probably guess what I mean by that. But yeah, that was a thing.
Where are you supposed to be?
And here I am. My character, Jeremy Fitzgerald, makes a grand return.
My name's Mike Schmidt. Look, I don't want anything you're selling. Wait, I'm looking for Jimmy Fitzgerald. Can you get him?
You already talking to him.
You were born in 1972.
No, he was definitely not born in 1972, bro.
Look, what do you want?
I just want to talk to you about Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. Jimmy.
Little PTSD.
Jeremy, are you okay? Jeremy.
Then, of course, I show the masterful adaptation of the Bite of 87 here from the first movie.
Jeremy.
Oh, what happened to you?
They did this to me. Freddy Fazbear's ruined me.
You can literally see that it's the same room. I'm sitting in the same room as the office shots because you can see the neck of the guitar behind me. That's in the box. But as you can see, 30 years later, I still have braces. So the idea is that I took the beanie off that I was wearing.
What happened to you?
And Mike's like, what happened to you? The whole idea was to explain me looking so young. I kind of wanted to like use the frontal lobe getting bitten off in the Bite of 87 from the game that happened to my character and say that like, oh, that caused my aging to stop. Which that would not happen. The frontal lobe has nothing to do with the aging and whatever like that. But that was my excuse for why I looked 12. Because I actually was 12 instead of like, what, 45, 50.
Freddy Fazbear's ruined me. One of their damn robots, the Pyrofox one, bit my frontal lobe off. Now I don't.
Why did I say it like that?
Bit my frontal lobe off.
Bit my frontal lobe off! And the audio is so obviously not from the actual footage you're seeing. I just kind of like was flailing my arms and hands around and I recorded the audio after and just tacked it on.
Bit my frontal lobe off. I'm older than you and I look like a teenager.
Right. Yeah, I tried to add a bit of action there with the trash can holding the vent or whatever, but, you know. Okay. This shot led to a very, very funny encounter years later after this movie came out. Let me explain. In this shot here, David's character Mike grabs his phone and opens it to Jeremy's contact, my character's contact, and you see a phone number. It's my phone number. Back then, I didn't think to like blur it out or like just not show it in the first place. It's honestly for the best this movie didn't blow up as much as the first one and the third one because, yeah, no one called me, no one texted me, at least not for years. Now fast forward to October 2020, 5.5 years since this film came out. I'm at Target with my mom. We're pulling out of the parking lot and I get a call from an unknown number. Now I don't answer it, 'cause it's probably spam, right? But I'm at a red light, so I give it a text back real quick. I ask, who is this? And in response, they say, you was in the FNAF 3. And I ask, how'd you get this number? And they say, it was leaked on YouTube. I say, where? They say, on the video you was filming. And I ask, which one? They say, FNAF 3 Fazbear Fright. And I'm like, oh. So now I'm a bit relieved. I understand what happened, where the number came from, and I kind of just want to know why they called me now. So I ask, thanks. Did you have a question? And they say, yeah. So I say, what's up? Did you get bit by a mangle? I swear to God, this was the funniest text I've ever received in my entire life. So I say, like, in the movie, yeah, haha, he asks, can I make a new one? And I'm like, oh, I made one before that and one after that. And he's like, I've been seeing those. Make FNAF 6. And at that point, I'm like, I'm good. But yeah, that's the story of how Freddy Fazbear doxed me. Not clickbait. True story.
Holy shit, this looks different.
But here we have it. The Avengers level team up. To be fair, I think that like as far as adapting Five Nights at Freddy's lore into like a movie, I always thought that, and you know, with the first actual movie that came out, the Blumhouse film, it proved me right in a sense. You can't just take the games and adapt them literally one-to-one. That'd be really boring. So I feel like, you know, taking the protagonists of the first two games and putting them together in the same room for the third game was a really cool idea. So yeah, I think that to give myself credit back in the day, I think that was a pretty solid concept.
Mike!
Well,
Jesus!
I sincerely apologize to whoever had to hear that when that came out.
Oh shit.
The thing is, too, I feel like with these movies, since I don't have like an actual set built, I can never really properly portray distance. It would just be like a shot of David or me reacting to just like an image, and you can't tell where the animatronic is in the environment. So that's just a big thing that I think plagues the first two movies in particular.
Management also requests that this room not be mentioned to family, friends, or insurance representatives. Thanks again, and remember to smile. You are the face of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
That's the killer! That's the killer! Jeremy!
How did my character realize that? I don't understand how I put that together in the context of this film.
That's the killer! That's the killer! Jeremy!
And that's also, like, I conveniently leave behind a lighter that will be used in a few minutes, even though I wasn't established to have a lighter for any possible reason with me in that moment.
You seem familiar.
For the voice of Springtrap in this scene, I had an internet friend of mine named Jared, who lived a state away, who actually drove out to... My parents drove me out to meet him and record voice lines for Springtrap. He was a really cool guy. So, yeah, shout out to Jared.
Let me put you out of your misery.
Jeremy!
Rest in peace, me. Rest in peace, Jeremy. Convenient lighters, convenient. Oh, cue the soundtrack. Nice. The instrumental for that Phantom song. Okay, well, the idea here is that he burns the place to the ground. I think there's actually like a magazine or like a newspaper article in the game that suggests the same thing happens. I could be wrong, but we tried to actually shoot the scene where you show him like putting the lighter down to the ground or whatever, but it didn't really work out, obviously. A bit too ambitious for a 12-year-old, but that's the end. Pretty abrupt, but I mean, yeah, definitely a better movie than the first one, I think. Just way more interesting concepts and an actual plot. So that'll do it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of FNAF'd out right now. It is currently 1:30 a.m. I've been recording for like 2 hours. I need a little bit of a break from the FNAF. I'm gonna come back tomorrow with a rejuvenated mind, ready to tackle the big boy. 1983, the one you're all here for, the one you all watched, perhaps even grew up with. So, yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow when we come back and finish this off. Alright, and we're back. Different day, same shirt for continuity. So let's get it. Five Nights at Freddy's, 1983. Alright, so as you can see here, this is when I definitively added the disclaimer that this is a fan film based on the fourth Five Nights at Freddy's game, just to combat those comments that I mentioned before that were really annoying about, like, this is not a movie. But yeah, this is right here, blatantly saying it's a fan film, but yet 10 million views, you still get some dumb comments here and there saying, yeah, this is not a movie. I didn't say it was, but whatever.
Deep down, you know it's true. Brother was always his favorite.
So I'm pretty sure the person you're hearing right now narrating is the same guy who voiced Springtrap in the last film, Jared.
And now your father has locked you in your room.
And then here playing the crying child, we have my friend Durgan. This is the first film where I'm not in it. Well, I am in it. You'll see me in a scene briefly later on. I'm not a lead though, neither is David. But yeah, so we have Durgan here.
And tomorrow is another day.
I did get a few comments about how, like, the crying child meant to be a little kid has an earring. But I mean, like, what could I do? I didn't know any actual, like, kids under 10 that could help me out with this, and that'd be kind of weird anyway, so I already had, like, my friend who was 12, 13, like me, playing a bit younger. I think he does a pretty good job, all things considered. I just didn't ask him to take his earring out. Whatever, I didn't really care. So as you can see, 3 films in, still using the flashlight as my main source of light. It's pretty obvious in that shot right there. I think right off rip too, what made this a bit easier to adapt as far as the video games go is the fact that it's actually just straight up a bedroom in the game. It isn't like, I'm not trying to make some elaborate office set or like, you know, FNAF 3, that whole security area. That was very difficult for me to try to do in the first two, and I was always like showing super tight shots to avoid like, you know, it being obvious that we're just in my room. Whereas here it's just literally a bedroom and it is what it's supposed to be, so I can just show it off without having to try to hide what it's not. Alright, so here we see our first animatronic, Nightmare Chica, done by the same guy who made the still images in that Foxy animation in the first film, and that brief 2-second animation of David pushing Freddy in the second one. He did a really good job in this movie. I think that it really like carries, you know, a lot of the shots and the sequences here. I think what sells it too is like the sound effects that I added there with the chains and like the thumping and all that motion. I think throughout the entire trilogy, the best thing I have going for me was the sound effects, even though it was mostly from the games and stuff. I think even when it wasn't from the games, it was done pretty well, to my credit. So I think it really carries a lot of like the atmosphere and the ambiance. You can tell right away too that Durgan's actually a pretty good actor compared to like me or David, who aren't actually like really actors. I think I met Durgan in drama club in middle school, so he was already pretty experienced. I was too, but I wasn't quite as good, so it's just cool to have someone better than us to kind of elevate the film beyond just like our very mediocre at this point acting. To be fair, David and I got better over the years too though, so yeah. I'm so glad I actually use like a tripod and like, you know, smooth motion for these shots instead of just hand holding the whole thing like I have been for the last two movies. It's significantly more cinematic than the first two already. I think being fully behind the camera really lets me just kind of like focus on all that stuff, the camera work and the angles and all that. And so here's an example of how I play with the environment and make the house seem like it's a different layout than it actually is. For example, Durgan walks out this door, and you see a door right across the hall. That's where he's gonna enter in a second here, but instead of walking straight through it, we have him walk down this hallway and then into that door, just to make the house look a little bit different as far as the layout goes and more accurate to the game and the mini games and stuff like that. But this is my room actually, as you can tell. We're in it right now. It's a bit different of a layout than it was back then. Back then it was just a huge bed for the most part. But yeah, we're in the same room. It's this scene right here. That was me for that first shot with the Foxy mask. And then a different day completely. You can tell by the lighting and all that. It's already like, this was shot, I think, in the daytime. You can see it's a bit of a blue light coming from the window there. And then we cut to my friend Brandon behind the mask as the crying child's brother. And it's nighttime. We have a different light on and all that. But yeah. I don't know if it's this shot. I don't think it is. I think it's a different shot later on. But this fucking clock, this will haunt me for the rest of my days on this earth. You can see how it says 12 o'clock and in the corner, PM. I don't know if it was just an oversight on my end or if I thought that PM meant AM and vice versa, but there's a shot that I swear, how many comments are on this video right now? There are, holy shit, 19,366 comments. I'm willing to bet that at least, not even kidding, like unironically, 4,000 comments of these 19, almost 20,000 are pointing out the fact that the clock says PM instead of AM. I've tried to go into the editor, like this was more closer to when it came out, and like blur it, but it looked like shit, so I just didn't. But oh my god, if I had known that people would make such a big deal about me having the clock set to PM instead of AM, I would have just changed it, but I didn't, and it still haunts me to this day. So yes, I'm aware to all 4,000 of you that commented over the years, it's supposed to be AM, but it says PM. I know, and I'm sorry. I'm formally apologizing here almost 10 years later. And again, right here, he's peeking out of a bathroom. You can kind of tell with like the little window up there, but that isn't the room he's actually in for the rest of the movie. It's just a bathroom. And like, if you think about it for more than 2 seconds, it's very obvious that it's not in the actual room because he's walking away from a window. Like, where could this door even be right now? Like, the window's right there. That's a pretty cool shot with the closet open like that, with the, you know, zooming with the tripod, but that's a different room completely as well. That closet is not in that room. That didn't look half bad. Again, props to the animator. He really carried this whole thing. That looks pretty decent. I'm pretty sure, yeah, this is a shot. This is the fucking shot that haunts me to this day. That's 6 o'clock p.m., not 6 o'clock a.m. But Durgan is killing it, man. I think for being, again, like, someone that's like 12, 13 at this time and playing, like, significantly younger, closer to like 7, 8, even maybe younger than that, he's doing a great job portraying that and those emotions. So, again, thanks Durgan for elevating this film.
Dad?
There he is.
Get in.
The legend himself, my dad playing Durgan's dad.
Where are we going?
Animatronics need repairing. As long as you don't breathe on them, you'll be fine.
What? Hold on, that was so quiet for no reason.
Where are we going?
Animatronics need repairing. As long as you don't breathe on them, you'll be fine.
Okay, so I don't even know if he had any clue what he was saying there himself. I literally recall having the script written out for him with my laptop next to it and a microphone plugged into it, all in that trunk right there where you can't see it because of the angle. So he is just fiddling around, reading the script, and talking directly into a microphone all at the same time. But props to my dad. I appreciate him so much. He's been in my stuff since I was like 6 or 7 years old. The first role I think he ever had in a Gabe Gazik production was playing the Rhino in my Spider-Boy movies that I made when I was a kid. I put a styrofoam cone on his head and had him run across the street from this garage into a mailbox. Man, good times. Thanks again, Dad. Oh, and this shot I was pretty proud of myself because I wasn't really experienced with any kind of photo editing too much besides just like some shots here and there from like the first 2 films, Chuck E. Cheese. But I made this all myself in pixelar.com. And besides the very obvious like 2D text that should have looked more 3D, pretty sure I actually saw someone post a screenshot of this image and share it somewhere online after the film came out asking like, where is this? Is this real? Oh my gosh. I forget where this was, but yeah, I must have fooled at least one person, so props to me. Not bad. And he's so obviously flickering it with his own finger just to make it do that. Not sure what the point of that was, if it was just gonna be like a new flashlight right there as the night ended already, so that was pretty anticlimactic. Not bad. All these 3D shots are pretty good, man. They're a little big there, but oh well. There's a lot more than I recall there, too. Like, I feel like I didn't know there was this many 3D shots. I really put that guy to work, didn't I? You know, I think I actually captured the frenetic energy increasing as the nights go on pretty well. I think it's pretty accurate to the game where you're running around and constantly just like checking off, you know, closet, door 1, door 2, bed. I think it's pretty accurate. Uh-oh. Pretty cool little POV shot right there. Not bad, not bad at all. I think the animator even matched like my camera blurring, 'cause I was still using the same camera as the first film that just keeps blurring in these low light environments. And I think he literally even matched the animatronic like blurring so it wasn't perfectly in focus. Good stuff, man. See there? It doesn't say PM. Come on, it didn't happen every shot. I mean, I guess I don't know why I didn't do this for every single night, but at least it was right once. I will say, after like 1 or 2 nights in a row of him like just nearly escaping death by like a second because the clock happens to turn 6, it's kind of cheap. I feel like every time it's just like, oh no, I'm gonna die. 6 a.m. And I guess it's the game too, in a sense. The game is also you just kind of like waiting for the clock to hit 6. But in a movie, I feel like you have to think of something more interesting than that every single time. Like, it'd be cool to see him outwit the animatronics sometimes too, but oh well. Yeah, so I managed to reuse that custom Springtrap mask from the second movie in this movie, so I'm glad that made a little bit of a reappearance here.
Let me out! Let me out!
God, Sturgeon doing so good. That's some great acting.
Do you remember me?
I'm pretty sure that's Jared too.
Just give in.
Okay, the chase scene. So real quick, I want to say the song you're hearing right now is actually from the video game Outlast. I don't know why I chose that. I think because that game has a lot of chase scenes, so I just figured it made sense. But yeah, the flashlight gets very noticeable here, especially right there. It's just so bright and it's so circular and it's so focused into that one spot of the screen. And then as Durgan moves right there, I was just like, I'm beaming it into his face. It's so distracting, but this little chase is cool. So that was my attempt at kind of having some interactivity between the 3D models and the real life, set, if you want to call it that. If you look closely, you can see the chair kind of moves before he even touches it. I had some fishing line attached to it, and I just yanked it to try and make it look like he's hitting it, but it's pretty jank. The proportions are so off, too, with the sizing. Every other shot is just completely different. Like here, he looks so small, like his hand looks like it's this big compared to that door. But it looks good. I mean, like visually the model looks like it doesn't blend too bad.
I told you I wouldn't allow you to.
Jared's doing a bit of a funny southern accent for Fredbear, but I think it's pretty fitting, honestly. Fredbear, told you couldn't get rid of me. You can even see, like, the flashlight I'm holding in the mirror there. It's something.
So let me return the favor.
Alright, and this was shot in my middle school. Pretty obvious, but my buddy Logan is wearing the little, like, blue custom body mask. And this is me again with the Foxy mask and my friend Jordan next to me, who played the kid that my dad fucking beat up in the second movie. And this is the auditorium. That's like how he sees the bullies.
I think we should take him up to see Fredbear.
And I don't talk because I'm not actually the actor for the character. I'm not Brandon. And if you look closely up there at the corner, you'll see 2 people talking. Those were the drama club directors who let us stay afterwards to film this. So you can still see them. This is meant to be like, the Fredbear stage or whatever. Very, very, like, not fitting environment around us, but it's a stage, so I thought it worked at the time. But oh no, he's breathing too close to the animatronics. The spring lock. He chomps his head. That was pretty janky, but I mean, considering the quality of the rest of the film, not too bad. And this is, I believe, night 6, where it's just Nightmare Fredbear. Is it called Nightmare? I forget his name, it's been too long.
Don't be afraid, my child.
Now, for this guy's voice, I managed to get a pretty big YouTuber named Nightmind to voice him. And back then, he was a lot smaller. I actually had more subscribers than him at this point. This is before he passed me up and then just kept skyrocketing. But again, back then, we used to have the YouTube personal message system. And I messaged him there and I was like, hey dude, I'd love to have you voice this character for my fan film. The first one already had over 2 million views. So he was like, yeah, sure, I'd love to. And we haven't spoken much since then. But I mean, he's doing great. I love his content to this day. So that was a really cool opportunity that I had to work with him here.
You're hurt. I can take
it looks pretty cool, honestly.
away, All you need to do is take my hand.
I wonder if Nick from Nightmind ever knew this video like blew up so much. Someone tag Nick, let him know, show him this video. Hi Nick, thanks again. So the idea of this scene is to have like Nightmare kind of representing death, or like the Grim Reaper, you know, offering him a way out of his pain and misery, his nightmare, by dying. So he's taking his hand here. Then back to my dad. This is where I went completely just like original plot, my interpretation of Purple Guy at the time.
Dad?
You killed him.
It was an accident. I'm sorry.
But sorry is not gonna bring him back. You were my favorite. I give you everything. Now you took away the only thing I took for granted.
I'm pretty sure again, over his shoulder, I had like a note card of his lines.
I'm sorry. I told you. I'm sorry. No. I'm your son.
No. My son is dead.
No. No. No!
Rest in peace. That bit of him like kind of like hugging him before he drops him was totally actually improvised by my dad. I didn't ask him to do that. I think that was a pretty nice touch. I think I just wanted Purple Guy to kill someone in this movie because I felt like he needed to, because he did in the first two. So that's why I added that scene in there. Then we go to the last scene of the film here. Not sure if you can tell, but actually there's just trash bags behind Durgan to make it like a blackout background. My go-to for any kind of blackout solution was just garbage bags everywhere. Yeah, it's very clear here. It's just garbage bags. There's a thumbnail, the money shot, and this is symbolic of him dying, giving his soul to the nightmare and letting go. I just realized there's no shot in here of the rest of the animatronic kids. It's just like me playing his brother as Foxy. The reason the cake's melting so fast, as you can clearly see here by the dripping yellow parts, is because I was actually trying to get a shot of all of the animatronic kids with masks on handing him the cake. And I actually had David there, I had his friend Adam there, we all had masks on, there was all of us in front of the black garbage bags holding the cake, but I think there was just too many of us to fit in the frame, so I was just wasting time, we were just trying to get it right and I just couldn't. So it was just me in the final cut, but we tried to do it with everyone and it just didn't work out. And that's him dying. Not a bad last shot, honestly. Kinda artsy, I like it. Is that it? Yeah. That is the end of my Five Nights at Freddy's trilogy. I'm pretty sure shortly after this came out, Sister Location was announced and then it released shortly after. People already wanted like a fan film based off of that right away. There was just plenty of comments asking for Sister Location, and at this point I was just kind of over it. I was over FNAF as a whole. I loved it for those like couple years I was making these movies, and looking back I still like it, I still have fondness for it, but and I played Sister Location. I even tried to record a video of me and David playing it, just to have something out there, you know, and we got through like half of it, and it was fine. But overall this actually wasn't that bad. I'm surprised by how much I didn't cringe. I think in my head it was just more cringe because I was so young, and it has 10 million views, and it's just funny to think that like I'm most well known for this in a way. Like that's a lot of people seeing my stuff, and especially like seeing something I made when I was so young, it's just like hard to not be like kind of wincing at the idea of that, you know, when you're just a kid and that's what you're showing the whole world. But I'm glad people have a fondness for this movie and, you know, still come back to comment on how they used to love watching it. And I loved making them too. I had fun watching them back for the first time in years today with you all as well. And if you had fun too, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment. What's the best of the three in your opinion? What's the worst? What's your favorite? When did you first watch these? Let me know. I'm really curious. And I'll be seeing FNAF 2 in theaters really soon, and if you want to see a review for that, let me know. Maybe I'll do one. But thank you all for watching. Happy holidays, and have a good night.